All right, we are back with Nate Mundy, who is a current West Carrollton School Board member, and he is also running unopposed for re-election this year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he is from West Carrollton, born and raised, like the fellow pirate that I am. Yeah.
It's nice to have a fellow pirate.
Right.
You know, we're in it together, that's for sure.
Well, thank you for coming on here to talk about West Carrollton schools and how real estate kind of goes with West Carrollton schools and what you guys are doing there.
Yeah, it's there's a lot that goes on, especially with the new buildings and everything that goes on with that. It's going to be a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, I feel like West Carrollton is doing what other school districts are trying to do with consolidating schools and kind of that different approach, where when I went to West Carrollton, there was 5 elementary schools and you're kind of in your neighborhood, and then that's the one you went to, and then you didn't combine until middle school. Yeah. You know, but that's all changed where it's by grade now, right?
And a lot of it's interesting. I feel like I should probably say this first. Everything that's on here is just my opinion. I'm just one board member out of 5, so I probably should mention that what I'm going to talk about here is just me. I'm not speaking on behalf of the board. I should probably say that.
Okay, we'll put that disclaimer on.
Yeah, just like a little bar, like, I'm not speaking on the board. I'm speaking as an individual. But you're right, and it's interesting for me because I like the idea of everyone being in their little communities, in their little pockets. But with OFCC giving us the opportunity to combine schools to save a little bit of money for the taxpayers, and then to have new schools, like, it's the coolest thing to me. And I don't know if you know this, technology is pretty incredible, right? We have came a long way with technology, and it is going to be the first time ever that our high school will have full air conditioning within the whole school.
Oh,
first time ever.
Wow.
This is 2025. Air conditioning was invented at least a little while before.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, all of our kids are going to be able to have air conditioning, which
That's
is
awesome.
Like amazing, to have that opportunity. So I'm
yeah,
because
I remember West Carrollton is kind of like Clover.
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
And the one wing was always so hot. So if you had an afternoon class, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know what we're going to do with all the excess fans that we're going to have when we move into the new school.
Or window air conditioners.
Yeah, we're going to have just one room full of fans. We don't know what to do with, but it's going to be so exciting.
Okay, so let's talk about the buildings.
Okay.
Right now you can see from 75, the new high school.
Yeah. What
is going to happen to the old high school? Or are you keeping part of it, or how is that working?
That's actually a really good question. So there's a few things that we're going to do with that. So, of course, the middle school, I'll start with the middle school because it's a middle high school combined. A lot of school districts are doing it. I know Bellefontaine City School District was the same way, where they combined, but they're separate. It's really hard to explain. They're on the same campus.
So what grades is that technically?
So it's going to be 6th, 7th, and 8th in the middle school side. And then they're going to share... No, and I can't remember what they're sharing. But they share one, it's either the gym or the cafeteria. They share one of those with the high school. And then the high school wing has up to 12th grade, 9 through 12.
Okay.
And so why they did that was, of course, to save money for the taxpayers. And to have it all on one campus, it makes it easier for busing and everything that comes with that as well. So yeah, the middle school, sadly, we're going to have to eventually get rid of it. It's so old to the point that there's nothing like repairs on that building.
And that's the current middle school that's over
on
in
Central.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So my fun fact, my grandma was the very last high school graduates from that building.
No way. Mm-hmm. Isn't that something?
Yep.
Man, I've heard some really cool stories about the middle school. I know, and we'll finish the question, but I know it's really cool. I guess there's this big rope. I forget who I was talking to, but there's this big rope that, to pull the curtain. That's like where the gym, there's the gym and then there's the auditorium.
Yeah.
And he would tell me that he would take this rope and he would hold on tight and run off the stage, use the rope and swing to the other side of the stage. Yeah. And I told him, man, that'd be the coolest thing. But with me being my size, I don't think I can do that. Yeah. Because knowing me, I'll tear down the roof and then it's over, we're in the
curtains
party.
Are down.
Yeah, the curtain, everything. So, so the middle school will eventually have to be tore down. But yeah, with the high school, we're going to tear down a lot of the high schools. So for those that don't know, we have the 4-leaf clover type or 3-leaf, but then we have like a little offshoot. That offshoot's called the 400s. We're going to keep the 400s. That's going to be all bus garage. They're going to have a nice little expansion there.
I think when I was there, it was like the shop class.
Yeah, the wood shop, and we
Yeah.
are keeping wood shop,
Okay.
which I fought for that because I think, especially when it comes to school districts, and our school district is not the richest. We have a very high poverty rate in our community. It's one of those where to build those types of values, to build those types of work, right? Wood shop and anything else that's more
skills.
Yeah, more hands-on skills is something that really is a value that we need to keep in our community.
Yeah, especially now with kids that not everybody goes to college, and I think that promotes like the trades.
Yeah, it does, and that's the thing is like I think it's nice to see that we are, or at least from what I'm seeing, we're starting to finally focus back onto trades and realize that not everyone's destined for college.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a poor community like ours. We don't have the money like a Centerville does or like an Oakwood does. So our parents are not going to be able to send all their kids to college all the time. And, to have that cyclical situation that goes on and for people to actually come in and say, you know what, trades are important. And you can be very successful as a trade man. you
Yeah.
know? And so it's good to see that we're going to keep that wood shop.
Yeah.
So-
Especially now because you have so many of we'll call them baby boomers, but that generation that's coming into retirement and leaving some of those trade skills.
Yeah.
They're floundering because they don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
people to come in there to fill those positions. So your HVAC, your plumbers, your electricians, all of these really trade designated careers
Yeah.
are an opportunity for the younger people to come up and fill in, even if they can do an internship
Oh,
with
yeah.
some of those companies. I mean, these people are ready, willing, and able to pass on some of that knowledge. They just need the young minds to come in to want to grasp it.
Yeah.
So getting a skilled trade, I went to a vocational school, high school, so I believed in that from the get-go, that that's the way to go. I mean, you give some life skills. You give students a choice. Is this what I want to do, or nah, I'm not really interested in doing cosmetology for the rest of my life?
Right.
They have an understanding from a school level that really benefits them. So I think that's a positive.
Oh, it's incredible. And, and that's something that we try to focus on, right, is giving every kid opportunity for success. And success doesn't have to mean that's college. It doesn't mean that you have to be extremely rich. Really, it's however they want it to be
Right.
viewed. But typically, it's just living the American dream, right? Just focusing on your life, having a family that you can, take care of and, financially take care of. And I think that's something that we're finally focusing on, really honing in and focusing on education. And, man, it's been working. We've been really doing a good job.
Yeah. So, okay, back to the high school, the new
Yes.
one. We're keeping the 400s.
Yep, keeping the 400s. Everything in the middle there, gone. All of it. And then we're going to keep the auditorium and the 2 gyms, the small gym and the large gym.
Okay.
And that also comes up, like there's like a little band room there. We're
Yeah.
going to keep that. We're going to keep some other rooms over there. And then,
So is that going to be connected to the new buildings?
no, it'll be its own thing, which I think is
Okay.
going to be really exciting because for groups that want to have their own, pickup basketball team or things like that, then you don't have to really compete with the school's basketball teams that need to practice all the time and all that. Like now you have 2 gyms that, you can kind of go in and do your community stuff with. And
Yeah.
hopefully that will bring up a lot more opportunity for, just outside groups that want to be involved in things, and because really the only thing that we do have that does something like that is that sand volleyball pit and
Oh, like downtown West
yeah,
Carrollton.
yeah, and like so people can kind of go and play that outside of school and they have their own leagues and stuff. But when it comes to something in West Carrollton that is sports related, there's really no space for it. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited for us to have that opportunity for them. So yeah, we're gonna keep all that. Yeah, and pretty much everything in the middle. We're keeping the pirate ship.
Oh, okay.
We got the pirate ship.
Okay, but
so.
what about the pirate ships that are in the lounges?
Yeah, that's
on
what I
the
mean.
floor?
Yeah, on the
You're-
floor.
Yeah.
We're the other 2. I will say it's a very expensive project to take these things out.
Yeah.
Because I think it's called terrazzo. I think I got that correct. And I guess it's
The
very
stone?
yeah.
Yes.
It's very very hard to take that out. You just can't like cut it out like it's a piece of paper and then like lift it up. But we
Okay, so for the viewers and Tammy, since you don't know, each lounge
Oh,
and
yeah.
each wing has a pirate ship marble piece on the floor that you don't walk on. It's like a thing.
It's sacred.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
sacred.
the seniors, when they're done, at least it was when I was there, you would like, when you still had IDs, do you still have IDs at the high school?
No.
We would put our IDs like all the way around them, and then that's
That's
how we
cool.
left.
Oh,
or we would
Really?
hang them from the ceiling right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep. But I mean, back in
Wow.
like 2008, right?
Yeah, I graduated in 2019, so I guess between 2008 and 2019.
Some
Yeah.
things change.
Yeah, something's changed.
But you still don't
that,
walk on it,
yeah, the
right?
pirate ship
Okay.
is always sacred. We, at the very least, when they decorate the lounge, they'll like usually put a little thing around it so that people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then, okay, so the football field, will that stay exactly how it is?
Yeah,
too?
so we actually just updated the field. We just put in new turf, so it looks really, really nice. If you guys ever get the chance to check it out,
Yeah.
We finally got like a nice pirate logo in the middle, and everything's looking great. So yeah, that's going to stay the same. If we have extra money at the end, I think we want to use some of that. It's called LFI money. I don't know if you guys, I don't even know what the term means, but like it's like money that you can spend for fun things.
Right.
If we have extra of that, I believe we want to try to create some better updates for the field. It's just money comes tight.
Right.
And when we have choices of what we should spend that money on, I don't know if that'll make the cut at the end, but
Okay.
right now it's very nice. But
Yeah.
of
So,
course.
the other schools, besides the middle school and the high school,
Mm-hmm.
how did those break off too?
Okay, so you're talking about like elementary schools?
Yeah,
or-
and preschool or,
Okay.
whichever.
So yeah, we have our ECC that was built a few years back. We have our elementary school we just did the ribbon cutting, 2-3 weeks ago, which that was a fantastic event.
And is that the one that's over on Lamb Road?
No.
Like Lamb and Dixie?
I think you're thinking of the intermediate school. Yeah, that's the
Oh,
intermediate
okay.
school.
Okay,
We're-
so ECC would be preschool and kindergarten?
yeah,
Or just preschool?
Preschool. Well, yeah, preschool and kindergarten.
Okay.
Yep. And that's off of Central.
Okay.
And then the intermediate school is what you were saying. That's the one that's in Moraine. That's
Yeah.
our Moraine building.
So it would be like first,
That is, oh gosh, that is.
I'm making you think.
You asked me too quick. I know this answer. I promise I've been on the board for long enough. I think that will be our 4th and 5th.
Okay.
Because 6th, 7th, and 8th will be middle school, 9th, 10th.
Okay.
And then our elementary school is from 1st through 3rd.
And where is that located?
And that is the one that we just opened on Central.
Oh,
That
okay.
just opened this year. The only school that's left is our middle school, high school.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, we're good. Like
Yeah.
everything's updated,
Everything is
everything's
new.
good.
Yeah. Okay, so I know that there was the school Harry Russell over in
Yep.
West Carrollton. What did you guys do with that land?
Okay, so that land, the board just signed recently that we're going to start taking bids to see to demolish it, which is funny because I do want to talk about this because it does break my heart. I personally did not want to demolish it. I wanted to find any other way possible to try to bring it. Funny enough, we were talking about trades, to bring a apprenticeship as like an after-school program and then have them have control of that building. There's a great guy I know. His name's Rich. He really wanted to have this opportunity because he does trade and wanted to have the opportunity to partner up with other trade groups to kind of rent out the building or to lease it or to do something with it rather than us bulldozing it down. And sadly, there's all sorts of state law. Well, before I get to that, so what he was thinking was bring these tradesmen in an after-school program for kids that, they don't have anything to do after school. They might be getting into a little trouble. This could bring them an opportunity to go into this program where they can actually start to learn basic things after school and really kind of get to know these tradesmen or tradeswomen and then really start to build up an apprenticeship. So when they do graduate or go to the CTC or whatnot, then they're already 4 steps ahead, let alone 2.
Right.
And it's such an incredible idea. And it was neat because they were also thinking, because we have a lot of space, that location within itself has a lot of yardage. There's just so much space there. So in the back, they were considering making like emergent housing. So using their skills to build these almost like tiny homes if that was possible by the
Yeah.
city. We didn't get that far.
There's a
But
couple communities that are bringing in the tiny home
Yeah.
communities.
I love it.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm a tiny home guy. I wish I could have one. Yeah, I love tiny homes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those where, to build emergent homes. So if like we've had multiple times where someone in our community has dealt with a fire in their house. Totally, they have nothing.
Lost it.
Yeah,
Yep.
lost it. So it's one of those where now they have to, get into a hotel and have this tiny little room and all that, which, it just breaks my heart. So they were thinking, well, we'll build these emergent homes if something happens. Our tradesmen that were training on this, they are the ones that built it. So plumbing, electricity, carpentry, things that tradesmen would use. And then they can live in it and be a part of it, and for a few months or however long until they
yeah.
can get back on their feet, which is such an incredible community opportunity. Of course, that could not happen for the reason that there's state law right now, and I've talked with lawmakers about this before because it bothers me. There's a state law right now where, as a school district, if you have a school that you need to offload, or that you got a new school so you don't need it anymore, you have essentially two options. The one option is to bulldoze it, tear it down, make it vacant land, and then sell it to whoever, which typically is real estate, right? Because we have plenty of land. They can put a housing district there, or sell it to, whomever. And then the other option is to sell it, or to lease it, or to do anything with it. However, there's a rule where it has to be to another educational entity. So a private school, not
Charter
trade
or
school,
something.
charter, and of course with this group, they don't have all this money.
Yeah.
Charter schools do, and it's tough for us as a school district because, at least for me, I want to provide the best education for my kids. And I know that there's charter schools out there. I know that there's other schools out there that want to come into our district to start pulling them away and doing what they would like to do, and of course that's hard for us, right? Because we want to have that opportunity for these kids, and we want all kids, good, bad, whatever. We want them all because that's what creates the community that we have.
So I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
West Carrollton goes to the Miami Valley CTC
Yep.
if they want to do a trade. Okay.
Yep.
Which is a great
It is.
education
school.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a
but
good job.
it's like 45 minutes away.
It's a
It
long way.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's tough for those kids. So having something in the district would have been amazing
So-
because it's in
Breaks
the
my heart.
backyard.
Yeah.
So really, this comes into a conversation that I'm going to tie in here,
Yeah.
because obviously real estate background, if the schools are inhibited from what they're able to do with the land that could benefit the schools,
Yeah.
either repurpose and reuse those or sell it off to the open market where they're going to get the most money,
Right.
seems to be really a hindrance when schools are looking for ways that you can rally the troops and get more money, right?
Right.
So the city of Dayton has a number of locations where they went in and raised the schools. They just flattened them. To this day, they're still vacant land. They haven't been able to sell anything to them because they are restricted.
Right.
And that is then an issue for the community and the neighborhoods that they are in.
Right.
So while it's great, and we love to hear about where are new housing opportunities, right? Generally, the footprint of where that school sat is not ideal for building 20, 30 homes that
Right.
may fill that space because of, you've got to look at the traffic patterns, you got to look at all of the different things that come out of that. If they couldn't support the school that was there, the housing is then going to be looking at, well, where are our kids going to go for school? It's a defeated purpose in what they're doing. It's really ass backwards, in my
Right.
opinion.
Right.
And only because I have dealt with these in neighborhoods where I grew up and went to school and had children who went to school in those communities as well. Harry Russell is a great location in West Carrollton.
Right.
That would present an opportunity to repurpose that building, generate funds, if the school can't utilize it, but generate funds for the school system.
Right.
Because you own the land.
Right.
You could lease it and be the.
Somebody, yeah.
I mean, there seems to be really an opportunity there, so we just need to get before the right people.
Yeah.
Because I think your community would support other ways of raising funds for the school system than coming back for a levy or a property tax.
Right.
So instead of raising that building, maybe there's something we can work on to say, what do we have to do to rally some support for this?
Yeah, well, and I think that's the interesting thing, right, is, I mean, funds is one thing, right, but especially for me, I want to raise opportunity for kids. And if we have kids out there that right now after school are going to the library and wreaking havoc, or, you know, going home where they're scared, right, because that's a real problem. If they can go and, you know, work on hammer and nail something, you know, or, you know, work on something that they find a passion for, that's what matters to me, you know. And for us to be limited to only two options, pretty much the option of tearing it down and then letting someone buy it and do whatever, or, you know, keeping it but selling it to another district, pretty much. You know, it's really hard for, at least for me, because I want my kids to have the best opportunities, and for good people in my community to say, hey, I got a good idea, let's make it happen. And for me to be like, yes, I love that idea. And then for me to be like, oh, never mind, we
Wait a
can't do
minute.
it, you know,
Yeah.
because there's
That's
laws. You know,
frustrating.
I mean,
Yeah.
and I noticed very often we overlaw things that you would think in a different aspect would be beneficial, you know, because I'm sure there is a good reason as to why this is probably the case. And I'm sure there's wild school districts out there that probably would take advantage of an opportunity to say, oh, I can just lease it to whoever. Let me lease it to blah, blah, blah. And then
Yeah.
it absolutely causes havoc, you know?
Guardrails are a good thing to have that allow for some common sense, but also flexibility for what's going on in the current world that we're living in.
Yeah.
But when you're restrictive, and this is the same thing, conversation we have with HOAs and all the different
Oh,
things.
Lord,
When you
yes.
start restricting what's normal use of something, which makes sense for the greater good.
Yeah.
It's not to line the pockets of an individual. This is something that would benefit your school system.
Yeah.
Then you have to have some other means of getting that conversation started.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great because I'm so passionate about these kids. I mean, that's the whole reason why I do this. Fun fact, you don't make any money on the school board.
Yeah.
You make $1,000 a year, but most board members would donate it back.
Yeah.
And, I mean, so my main thing is I want to give kids opportunity. I want to grow what we can do as a district, and I want to decrease cyclical poverty in my community. I mean, I want us to compete with the best. You know, we might not have the size of Centerville, you know, and all that. We definitely don't have the money, but man, we have kids that are passionate.
Right.
And we have kids that I know for a fact can be future lawyers, that can be future engineers. I know that because
Yeah.
I've seen it in them.
So
And-
let's talk about size for a
Yeah.
minute. Was the district able to kind of condense all of the grades because it is shrank in size from 20 years ago?
Yep.
Or is it still roughly the same numbers? It's just divided up differently,
No,
if you understand.
I understand what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah. So the district has shrunk in size multiple times, actually. And so right now we have about 3,200 kids. Back in the day, it must have been a lot more than that because now, I mean, the OFCC is saying, look, with the amount of kids you have now, it's way less. It's going down every year. Like, we have to think ahead on this. And if your building keeps going down in size, we don't need all these buildings. It's not good for taxpayers. And we agree with that. You know, we don't want to have empty rooms or because there's too much, and we don't want to have, of course, not enough either.
Yeah.
So it's a really odd balancing act because right now West Carrollton is rebuilding their city.
Right.
I mean, we just put the culvers in and everything that's been going on with that. Of course, they're trying to do the new river district. So we're trying to bring in families into our district, you know, not just because it's a very transient community. I mean, a lot of people are moving in and out, a lot of apartments, very apartment heavy. But, you know, the city's like, you know what, if we put good family type things to do here, then good family people will move.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to see in the next 10 years if the city keeps doing what they're doing, the good work that they're putting in. It's going to be interesting to see if we have a bounce back and how that would affect the smaller schools now, because we don't have the
Do
same
you
amount
know
of schools.
about how many is in the graduating classes now?
Well, if there's 3,200 kids, I think I graduated around 250-ish, 230.
Okay.
So I don't know. Do you remember your graduating class?
I think it was about 230, but we were
Yeah.
a super small class, and the class
yeah.
behind us was super large.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they always had to have extra classes added, for
Oh,
when
really?
they came through. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was funny because in high school, I wrote a card to every single one of my students. So I remember back in the day how many, but I think it was around 230 of them,
Okay.
which is pretty.
And so another kind of controversial topic that I've heard is open enrollment.
Oh, yes.
Does
okay.
West Carrollton still do open enrollment?
Yes, and I feel like it would be good to lay it all on the line here to all the viewers. Open enrollment does get a lot of backlash, and admittedly so. There's been in the past kids that were open enrolled that came from a different district that caused problems, right? We severely locked that down. We open enrollment. It's a very small group now, and it's very well vetted. And we're trying to give kids opportunities that don't have them in the other districts. That's part of the point, you
Yeah.
know. We're not like taking in kids from other districts because they're good at sports, like we actually want kids that
Yeah.
do want good education, but the school district that they're in just doesn't provide anything meaningful, So actually a lot of the kids that we have, most of them are actually in the lower grades. They're not all high school kids. And they do very good academically. Of course, you'll have a time or two where there'll be a struggle because they grew up in the place that there were, or that they're still in, So a lot of it's just the situation that they're in. You're going to be a product of what you're around.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Or you become the total opposite, become a shining star and create big differences,
There's
And-
always a lot of different perspectives for why something is a good idea, why it would work, and how it can benefit someone.
Right.
As a single mom, 3 sons, it was tough to juggle work and 3 different school schedules and everything like that. One of the things that helped was being able to get them into a school that was on the way for our life activities.
Yeah.
Was it because if my kids had to get on the bus at 6 o'clock in the morning and I had to leave for work, if there was anything that changed and now you have a snow day,
Yeah.
now they're delayed 2 hours, well, I don't get to delay my work.
Right.
This became a real issue, and why there is always another reason why something would work and why it would benefit a family, somebody who otherwise is going to struggle. Otherwise, you keep your kid home, they're missing out on opportunities. So open enrollment for different reason is a reason why I would have supported that.
Yeah.
Just simply because it does open doors for other reasons.
Yeah.
People have to understand, not everybody is 9 to 5, here's this, you got 2 people in the household and everything runs smoothly.
Right.
Life isn't
Yeah.
like that sometimes, right? And West Carrollton is one of those diverse communities that certainly has some things that it has overcome.
Yeah.
My aunt has lived there for 40 plus years,
Wow.
and so my cousin.
Hey, you guys
lived there.
both have a connection.
I mean, we
Oh,
all have.
wow,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
that
yeah.
something?
So,
Wow.
and my sons, when I first came back to Ohio, they actually went to Harry Russell, and so it was absolutely something that, it speaks to my heart when somebody says they're just going to go and raise it. It's like, I want to stand up and fight. Well, no, let's not take down another school. Let's
Yeah.
talk about why these schools don't need to be taken down.
Yeah.
We can repurpose things,
Yeah.
and there is benefit to that. But really, I think what drives your community is the cost aspect, right? So
Right.
are you good stewards of the money for West Carrollton? Is that something that really is, you're strict about the budget, you're looking at how these expenses are going? Because you've said a couple of things that kind of resonate that you are careful of it.
Yeah, and actually, I'm happy that you asked that question because this is a good shout out for my treasurer. Because Ryan is an incredible treasurer. He's been very well known in Ohio as being one of the top treasurers in the state, which is really, really cool. We go to a conference every year, and man, he's like a rock star there. Everyone, oh, Ryan, good to see you, And Ryan does an extremely good job, working with the superintendent and everyone else on making sure that financially we're ahead of the game. And I don't know, did we pass this yet? There's some things I can't say, right? I think I can say this.
Oh, it's
though.
a secret.
Yeah, and well, it's not really a secret, but I think we just talked about it in a work session, but we're working on it. We're actually trying to be even more ahead. There's a lot of other school districts that's been doing this, but once we hit a certain level of money left, we want to start having conversations about, to the community about a levy. Because we haven't passed the levy in many, many, many years. We haven't passed an operating levy in, I believe, over 10 years, if I'm correct. Of course, we passed the bond levy in 2019. Bond levies and operating levies,
Different.
totally separate things. And that's something that we want to make sure that the community understands.
So all of these new schools were built with not levy money.
Yeah, that not operating levy.
Not
yeah,
operating
so
money
like,
levy. Okay.
yeah, that money is like not paying for the teachers. Like that money is strictly to build this building and to
Okay.
pay the construction workers to build it, But like we're not taking funds out of that money and like sprinkling it in for a new teacher or administrator. Like that's not possible. So yeah, totally different things. So we've been extremely well with our money when it comes to our operating levies, and we make it a big deal to not go back. And I think you can tell, and past voting records, especially in the Montgomery County area, people don't want to raise their taxes.
Nope.
And you know
Not
what?
right now.
Personally, I can't blame them. Like it's,
Yeah, well, you see, like Beaver Creek, for example, wants to build this new mega campus, kind of like West Carrollton just did with
Yeah.
the high school and moving the middle schools and, all of that. And people were like, not on our dime.
Yeah, yeah.
Find that money elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I think it's gone twice and failed twice. So,
yeah, and many, many operating levies has failed in
Yeah.
multiple districts. I mean, really, the only one I can remember that always passes is Oakwood. I guess they can afford it,
yeah, but even then, I don't think it's passed. Like, it's had to go on twice recently.
Has it really? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? Man, if that's happening,
You know it's
yeah,
tough.
yeah,
Yeah.
know it's tough.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a real issue that we face, right? And
So does the school board have any plans? Because right now a big hot topic is property tax.
Yep.
And I know schools are funded by property taxes, a
Right.
portion of it.
you're right.
Are you
Big
guys looking towards the future on if that money is gone, how are we funding these schools or how are we doing all of that?
Yeah. So, like I was saying, we're trying to have a certain amount of time ahead to see like, okay, we're about to be low on money, and this certain amount of time, we're gonna actually start going out to the community and saying, hey, this is why we're going to need a levy in, let's say, 2 years. We're just telling you now because we want to be good stewards of that. Actually, we have made cuts this past year. We've made cuts actually a few times now, and of course, this is personally again, not on the board, but I really enjoy that, we're doing what's best for the community while still providing the best for the students as well, and of course, cuts are always hard. And,
Yeah, I
but-
remember when I was in school and they would always like threaten like, oh, busing is going to be gone. That was the very
Not
first
on
thing.
my watch.
Good.
Yeah, I don't want to be that. What did the president say? No new taxes. Whatever it was. But I mean, that's the thing, right? Is at least with what I'm seeing, that there's no way that I'm gonna leverage something like that.
Yeah.
Back. I mean, like that's just so negative for the community.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so nice to have a board that really is trying to think ahead of this and say, look, if we want to get this passed, we need to talk about it soon,
Yeah.
and really kind of get out there. And it's funny because board members technically cannot support or not support levies. Dave Yost will go after us. So
Yeah.
it's one of those where I have no opinions, but as a personal person in my community, I do see the value of, keeping up the levies that we do have. So, it's one of those where if it's a operating levy that's just a renewal, nothing more, then, we're working with what we got. And everything else in life gets expensive. And I know it's more expensive for us in our grocery stores, and I know it's more expensive for us at our gas stations. But that's also the same gas that the buses use, and that's the same food that the kids eat.
Yeah.
It's more expensive for everyone,
Right.
and everyone just kind of has to pitch in and make it work, and so it's hard.
I
Yeah.
think people, especially residents in the city school districts and in those areas, are just wanting transparency.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're talking about these before it's a, hey, we got to do this now, knee-jerk reaction, that probably is respected in the community to say, at least you know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise. You guys are budgeting. You're making cuts when you need to make cuts.
Yeah.
You're actually seem to be on top of that aspect of it. So I think that would be beneficial.
Yeah.
If there's, things have to happen. And I always say, you come back to me for more money, but I'm having to cut my expenses, and I don't hear anybody over here talking about cutting their expenses.
Right.
Well, if you're talking about cutting expenses and I'm cutting expenses, but we ought to still figure this out, then we can come together and figure this out.
Yeah.
It's a different setting in that environment then.
And I feel like you have to look at history too. When he says there hasn't been a levy in over 10 years, a lot's changed in 10 years.
For sure.
Yeah.
Money-wise, specifically, anything like prior to 2020 COVID, when everything just skyrocketed. And as a taxpayer myself, I would look at that and be like, hey, I get it.
Yeah.
Right.
There was like a severe increase in cost of
Yeah.
living or cost of doing business.
Yeah. Well, and that's the interesting thing about communities, right? Is at the end of the day, we all pitch in for the success of other people, and I think that's something to always remind ourselves is, hey, yeah, you're paying taxes, but this is not going to just thin air. In some cases it might, who knows, but not for the schools. And we have it on our newsletters, we have it on our website, we have a literal pie chart that says, hey, every dollar that you put into the taxes for our kids,
Here's where it's going.
yeah, over, I don't even remember the percentage, it's extremely high. We're one of the highest in Montgomery County. I think it's over 85, maybe even over 90% of all that money goes right back to the kids.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
awesome.
I'm extremely proud of my district, and to see, our treasurer working such, in such good line with our superintendent, and to have a board that makes very sound decisions and not just spending money because they can.
Yeah.
It's a really good feeling.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else, Tammy?
So is there anything that you see as a upcoming challenge that West Carrollton specifically is having to deal with that as a school board you think is the most important thing to do? I mean, you've obviously covered a lot of things, but
Right.
since you're running and you're unopposed, maybe, people are just going to check the box, it doesn't matter. But what
Right.
could you give them as, here's what we're really going to work on?
Yeah, personally, my main thing is always giving kids opportunity and then to focus on education. It bothers me when other school districts go after pretty much everything else other than true education, right? They go after, different ideologies or different focuses. I want to focus on education for our kids and then let the families decide on the other things, the social aspects. I just don't think it's our place, right? And in the last few years, we've really focused on these things. We focus on education, and we have been just jumping other school districts and the grade card system, because there's like a star system,
Yeah.
just jumping districts and like hurdles. It's incredible. And just to see that our focus on education provides such more opportunities for our kids. In the last year, we've had more scholarships for our graduating class than ever in history.
Nice.
In our graduating classes.
That's awesome.
And that's 100% based off of that education, focusing on that. And even then, we're still focusing on trade schools too. And even with all that, we still have the highest amount of scholarships for our kids. So,
Wow.
it just shows that when you're passionate about something, when you put your heart and soul into the work that you put in, there's outcomes. And I'm just so blessed to have such a good group there. And we'll just keep the good things going, keep the opportunities rolling.
Yeah, keep it up and get your school board back in place. And the vote is November.
Yeah,
coming up, so-
November 4th or 5th.
Yeah, November
so-
4th.
Yeah,
Okay.
November 5th.
Yeah.
So, it'll be good. I'm happy it won't be too hard for me. But I'm
Well,
excited.
they must
to
like
keep it
you if
going.
you're unopposed, right?
Yeah, it's something like that, right? Yeah, I'll take what I can get. So, I'm very blessed. Very blessed.
Yeah,
Good
well,
luck.
thank you for coming in and sharing
Yeah.
all the great things that West Carrollton School Board and West Carrollton as a city is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we welcome you back anytime.
You guys are the sweetest. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for joining us today on the Real Tea Podcast. If you enjoyed the knowledge and entertainment today, please subscribe and share with your friends. We will be embarking on a journey that bridges the gap between realtors and clients, uncovering the heart and tea of real estate.